What's your background? Oh, it's a hippo.
Yeah.
That's cute.
So we're here at Skinner Middle School, like I said in the description, to talk about what it's like to work at a first-year partnership. I cut off your wave, sorry. So some of these people might look familiar to you if you've been on one of the virtual orientations. Dan is on my Radical team, so he did a live interview here a couple months ago. And then Jack and Tony have been on virtual orientations. But I'm still going to let everybody introduce themselves, starting with Dan.
Yeah, I'm Dan. I'm on the Radical team. So I've been on a virtual orientation, and you may have seen my live video a couple months ago. And I'm just a core member here at Skinner. So that's me.
What classroom do you work in?
Oh, so I work in 8th grade math and science classrooms.
Okay.
Then I'm Blue. I'm also a core member here at Skinner, and I work with a bunch of different partner teachers and in many different classrooms. So I do 8th grade language arts, 8th grade social studies, and 7th grade science.
And my name is Jack. I'm a senior core member, which means it's my second year serving with City Year. And I work in an English language development classroom. So that's for English language learners, and it has all grades in it, as well as 8th grade language arts.
Yeah, my name's Tony Sabo. I'm the impact manager here at Skinner, and I oversee the whole partnership and also help support the core members in their development throughout the year.
And where did you serve, Tony?
And I served in Chicago in 13-14.
Cool. And then before we talk about partnerships, I was going to let everybody share their Lacey plan about what you're doing this year, too.
All right, yeah, so my Lacey plan, so I'm working at a place called the Young American Center for Financial Education, and I'll be a programs assistant there, which I kind of just assist all functions of their summer camp roles, and into the school year I'll work as well, helping kids understand how to learn to work with money. So it's going to be a fun job.
Nice. And then I'm leaving to serve with the Peace Corps in August, and I'm going to the Dominican Republic to do youth in development.
And I am going to serve with Teach for America, because I thought, what better way to follow up 2 years of AmeriCorps than with 2 years of AmeriCorps?
Awesome. Thanks. So my first question, we'll talk about some of the cool things you've gotten to do this year, but what has been a little bit challenging about being in a first-year partnership? And just for some context, the reason we're doing this video is just because we're going to be in 4 new partnerships next year, which is really cool. When I served in Boston, if you were at a new partnership, there was like a certain level of almost prestige with that because it's different. So it's a cool thing to do. So we wanted to talk a little bit more about what it means. And whoever wants to go first can go first. What's been a little bit challenging?
So one of the challenges right off the bat is building the partner-teacher relationships, because a lot of the teachers here had almost only one teacher had worked with City Year in this entire school, and she wasn't here the whole entire first semester. So just sort of learning how to work in a classroom with teachers who had not really had assistants was pretty difficult to start off the year. But once you get going and once you finally find your groove, a month and a half in or so, then the rest of the year runs really smoothly. So just make sure throughout that entire process that you are communicating with your partner teacher and your IM and your other core members on what's working and what's not working and how you can better improve. Make sure you listen to those coaching conversations.
Yeah, I would add to that for the students we serve, we're kind of like an army of weirdly dressed people invading their school, especially in this school is the 7th and 8th graders, because they had never seen, a lot of them had never seen City Year before. So I know we have an opportunity in BTA to practice our elevator speech, and I would recommend practicing a version of that for kids, because you're going to get asked so often, like, Miss, what are you doing here? And then you have to explain that, and you should probably practice doing that.
Yeah, definitely just adding to that student thing. So I've had the experience of serving in both a new partnership and a partnership that we were returning to, and you definitely notice the difference where if City Year has already been in a school, you know, those kids are going to run up to you on the first day because they loved their City Year last year and they can't wait to engage with you. But like Blue said, it is a very new concept to them in a new partnership, so it's you definitely have to work hard from the start to build those relationships with students.
Yeah, and kind of what Dan mentioned, I think the hardest part about the new partnership was that we had no real framework here, and we had to kind of teach everyone like what exactly City Year does, and also like kind of find our own ground in the Skinner community. And I think that's the hardest part, but I do think like we did a great job this year in like trying to figure out what we can and cannot do on both sides, both staff and Skinner, and also the team.
I would add one more thing to
Okay.
that. Going back to the students, expect some pushback if you're working in a new partnership, because they don't know what City Year is. They don't exactly know what your role is in the classroom, and you kind of are in that limbo space of sort of wanting them to like you, but also you're also more of a teacher for them. So they don't exactly know what to think of you. So just expect some pushback at the beginning of the year. As you build those relationships, it gets a lot better. And at the end of the year, you might have students asking you to be their teacher, which has happened a few times. So expect some pushback and just you'll be strong and move through it.
Makes sense. And that is, I think we've talked about this in some of our videos, but kind of the point of the uniform, which you mentioned can be difficult if students don't know you, but in places where they do, that is why we wear it. Just for some context for people watching, you know, kids will look at you and they'll trust you and they understand what you're there to do and what you can help them with. So, cool. So those were some of the challenges, but what has been like new and exciting for you to kind of pilot and spearhead and create this year? I myself did not serve in a new partnership, but my understanding is that, you know, you do get some kind of creativity and things like that because there's not a plan. You get to create it. You don't have to follow what people did before.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. I think that's like perfectly said. Like there was no plan coming into this. It was kind of trying to see where we fit this year, and I think with that, we got to try out a lot of great things. I know normally we're placed in math and lit classrooms, but this year we were in math, lit, social studies, and science, you know, which was great, kind of mix up the day for the core members, but then also like different things we could do, like coaching soccer to doing different support after school. So we kind of try to dip in as many things as possible in the Skinner community. So now next year, coming back, we're able to know, like, okay, we should do this or we should not do this. So just a little bit better feel. So.
Yeah, another cool thing we were able to bring to Skinner this year is City Year Heroes, which is an end-of-the-year dinner that most teams do for students who have shown a lot of growth over the course of the year and that core members have really connected with. And so we got, I think, $700 worth of food donated and decorated the cafeteria and brought in parents. And for me, that's one of my favorite events because almost every time it happens, you get a parent who will come up to you and say, yeah, my kid's never won an award before, so thank you so much for having this event.
And I do want to say, with the $700 worth of food donated, we received $200 of chicken nuggets donated. So, yeah, it's crazy to see what happens. So.
Yeah. One last thing I would add to that is I have heard from other core members that there can be some school cultures where the City Year team is viewed as sort of a separate entity than school staff. But one of the things that we were able to do as a new partnership was come in and really integrate ourselves with the whole school staff and culture. And I know we've all felt super connected to the principal and the vice principal and all of the teachers. And they've really, I think because we were a new partnership, they really just welcomed us with open arms and integrated us right in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you want to add?
I mean, one thing that was a long process to build that I didn't necessarily have a part in, but Blue built a lot of it, was after school office hours for City Year, which had a slow start. I wasn't there for a lot of the beginning, but comparing what it was at the beginning to what it is now, it's Blue and Jana have built an incredible program for students to come and just learn and work with us after school, and I built some really good relationships there personally with the students. And I've seen a lot of success come out of those office hours. And I don't think they had office hours like that for City Year last year because they didn't have City Year.
Yeah.
So
Can
it
you
did
tell
seem-
us more about what that looks like?
Yes.
It does vary like school to school.
It does vary to school to school, but I would say in general at Skinner with our new partnership, it seemed like we had a lot of opportunities to be creative with our coordinator roles. I don't know if you've talked to them about that before,
little
but
bit, so you
I
can
did
dig
extended
into
learning time. Dan did evaluation.
Yep.
You know, we had some cool like math and lit stuff that we were able to do because there hadn't really been this framework for us. But for the extended learning time program, as the coordinator, well, co-coordinator with my teammate Jenna, we went in and the school had a nonprofit already working here called the Neighborhood Center. So we ended up at first kind of like completely just supporting them with their program, and then decided it wasn't maybe the best fit for us. So we had the chance to kind of draw out of that and create our whole new city year only office hours program to help students with academic supports mainly, and it's been really successful so far. Yeah, it was fun. It was kind of messy, but it was fun.
That's
Yeah.
school.
Yep.
So do you have anything that any of you want to add that just, knowing other core members or your roommates, is there anything that really stands out to you that you think made your experience special as a first year partnership that maybe other core members haven't experienced? Does that make sense? Or maybe, Tony, if there's something from your year that that you've noticed here, I don't know.
I think Blue, you kind of mentioned it. It's like how welcoming the Skinner community had for us. Only because during my core year, I went into my school and like Blue said, like we were seen as outside people other than like part of the school. And I think Michelle and the rest of like the Skinner community, Michelle's our principal, they did a fantastic job in like integrating us into everything, whether it be like staff PDs to random community events that we're doing. Like we're literally in everything, and I think that's what has made this partnership so successful, is just because we're one Skinner community as a whole, and it's not just City or in Skinner, it's Skinner. So
Cool. Yeah, anything to add? I don't know.
I would add just kind of a piece of advice, because there are no set guidelines like, okay, well, City Year last year helped us with this, but they didn't show up to this. Just show up to as much stuff as possible. Like go to Fall Festival and the opening day, open house to school, and go to the talent shows. And like the more we have put ourselves out there, the more we've seen that reciprocated by the school community. It's been awesome, because no one's been there to tell us like, oh, City Year doesn't usually do that, because they've never had City Year.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's perfect. To close us out, I do have one question I just thought of, so I'm putting you on the spot. But
Ready.
just because we also serve so many middle schools, and I love middle schools. I think most people know that because I worked in a middle school and I love middle schoolers. But do you have any either advice or what's been your favorite middle school quote or student experience? What's your favorite thing about working in a middle school? Since that will be a lot of our new partnerships. And I can go
So
first
many.
if you want. I don't know why this one always sticks with me, but my favorite student quote from my year was, "You know what, miss?" Meanwhile, we were working on math when he said this. Just doing some math. He's like, "You're just one of those people that would look great without a nose."
What?
One of those people, huh?
that's a good
So-
compliment.
Right, I was and I looked at him and he was like, "No, that's a good thing." Oh, okay, thanks. Anyway, so that's my favorite quote. But if you guys have any special middle school moments, feel free to share.
I think everyone's trying to narrow it
Just-
down right now because you get about 5 a day.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
some advice I can give about middle school is I think for incoming core members, it's probably the group that people are least excited to work with before they start their year, least requested. I would say for most people leaving, it becomes their favorite age group to work with. And I think a lot of people remember middle school as everyone's really mean and those kinds of painful middle school memories. But the kids they're hilarious. They still love you. Sometimes they'll be mean to you, but they'll apologize. And a lot of the time it's also funny. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a
that's
great
why
age
I
group.
wanted to work in middle school was because you don't meet people very often that say "Oh, middle school is great. I loved middle school."
Yeah.
Very few people say that, and so I feel that is, like you said, students need us then because it is such a difficult time. So
Yeah, I agree with Jack. Like, not everyone likes middle school, but like I don't understand why, because I love it. The school I served at was a middle school as well, and like the whole year I just remember like, wow, you don't know what you're gonna get every day, which is like fantastic. But you know, like the middle school students, like they want to like they like want to like be your friends. They want to like, you know,
they want
like,
that attention.
They want that
and love
attention.
and-
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's like the best part about middle school, because like one, you can be real with them. Like they're old enough that they understand a lot of things, and then also like they're still young enough where like they still have like some sort of innocence, you know, before they get into high school, which is great to always see. So.
Yeah, I would say with middle schoolers, just be as goofy as you want, because
That's true.
they hate it, and then when they hate what you're doing, they turn it around at some point, and then they start liking you even when you're just being really goofy around them. So just don't be afraid to just be funny with them, because
authentic and real and
they'll accept your humor sometimes, and sometimes they'll be in bad moods and they won't be, and then your humor will bring them out of the dumps occasionally. So I always just try to be as goofy as I can with my students.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So just today I had, we were doing 8th grade reflection timelines in my language arts class. So they were drawing like their high points of the year and their low points. And I had a student, and every time I walked past him, he would move my name somewhere else on the list. So I walked past the first time and it was at the very bottom. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm sure I'm like the low point of your year. And then I walked past the next time and he'd move me up at the top. Like, I got you, miss. Walk back again, back at the bottom. So they just like, they mess with you, and it's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Uh-huh. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Any last things about first year? It's okay, we covered it, but I'm gonna end it unless you have any final things to say.
I will say it, like, coming in as an IM and also like with the rest of the team, like I don't know if you guys felt this way, but like coming in, it might seem very like daunting, where you're just like, oh no, this is first year partnership, like what is gonna happen? There's all these like things we have to do and whatnot. But like as the year goes on, like I felt like it's just like it's not there anymore, that feeling. Like it's just like we are like a part of the school, and like we all like are in our groove and stuff. So like even though like you're probably likely to be placed into a first year partnership for next year, like don't be afraid, because like there's so much support around, not just in City Year but like in the communities that we serve in, because they want City Year. That's why we're going
That's
there.
true,
So
yeah.
like definitely get excited for it, because there's a lot of learning and like growing opportunities that you'll have. So
Yeah. No, and that's true. I think you're right to remember that the reason we're going there is because they want us to be there, and so people are excited to welcome us into those communities and schools.
Yeah.
So, cool.
I would also say that it's really nice. I felt really like kind of free going into this first year partnership, just because like no one else had been here. There was no precedent. Like we came here and like we set the precedent. We were the first year team. So like what we've done, I feel like we've had a lot of success here. We've met our goals. So like now we've set at for the next year's team to come and follow us, which just it feels good to kind of know that we've met our goals as a team and as individuals that we set. So hopefully next year all those teams that are now experiencing first year partnerships can do the same. Like you go in there and you do what you need to do and you get it done.
Yeah. That's true.
I'll say that when we had started, we were doing BTA, but we hadn't been placed in schools yet. I had two
And
things.
BTA, which I think people know, but just
Basic
in
Training
case.
Academy.
Yeah,
So
Basic
like our training.
Academy.
So I didn't want to be in a middle school, and I didn't want to be at the new partnership school, and I ended up
Yeah.
at both. And honestly, like I'm so happy it happened. I wouldn't want it any other way. So really, just embrace it. I didn't want to go here.
This kind of goes off what Blue said, but I think this would be one of my main pieces of advice for a new partnership, but also for serving at City Year in general, and that's keep an open mind. And you know, there will be some things at City Year that you're going to be assigned to do, and at first you might not like it, but I think how you choose to approach that is what's going to define your experience. So whether that be getting placed in middle school or a new partnership or even just being assigned to a
Math or-
project.
yeah.
Subject placement, the way you approach it is going to define your experience.
Yeah, that's true. Well, thank you. I'm glad. Yeah, we'll do the wave again.